Last weekend, which was April 22nd, 2023, we traded in a Tesla Model 3 for a 2023 Cadillac Lyriq with a luxury trim, 22-inch alloy wheels, the rear-wheel drive 102 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which was made in Warren, Pennsylvania. The car was assembled in the Spring Hill Flexible Assembly Plant in Tennessee. It's the debut edition. We were very excited because we were going to the dealership just to think that we were going to be putting our names down to reserve something, but they had a cancellation from someone who did a pre-order, not wanting to actually accept delivery of the car. It was in their showroom. We drove home with it about 90 minutes later. Very excited. What I'm doing here is displaying a table between the competitors to the Lyriq, which primarily is the Tesla Model Y. What I did was highlight in red the numbers that were below the winning number in each one of the categories, and I highlighted in blue the winning number for each one of the categories. For instance, the Cadillac Lyriq is the longest of the three vehicles between the Tesla Model 3 and the Tesla Model Y. It's 10 inches longer than the Tesla Model Y. It's also 2.4 inches wider than the Tesla Model Y. It's a very spacious vehicle. Cargo volume also is ample, and the table here basically speaks for itself, indicating that the Cadillac Lyriq is a larger vehicle. Decided to take the Cadillac Lyriq out on the first road test since we've purchased it last weekend, and just for record keeping, that was April 22nd where we accepted delivery of it directly off the showroom floor. Someone ordered a debut edition and decided not to go through with the purchase, and so the dealership took possession of the vehicle, put it on their showroom floor. We showed up the next morning. We were the first customers to see it, and while we were there was another customer trying to purchase it, but we had gotten there first. There was only about 1,000 of these actually produced, and so very few. The actual bulk of the Cadillac Lyriqs are going to be produced later on in the year, towards the fall, and be delivered starting in November, it's thought. So we're one of the lucky few that got our hands on a debut edition 2023 luxury trim with the addition of the 22-inch alloy wheels. It's a single motor, rear-wheel drive, estimated EPA range of about 312 miles on a full charge with a 102 kilowatt-hour battery pack produced out of the Warren, Ohio Ultium Cells factory, and the car was assembled in the Spring Hill, Tennessee Flexible Assembly Plant. Alright, so we're clipping down a back road here at 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour, and one big difference between Cadillac and other brands, it's well known for a very smooth, air-like feel to the drive, and it is just remarkable how smooth of a ride the Cadillac Lyriq has to it. Just floats over the road, except it's not like, Rolls-Royce boat feel where you're bobbing up and down. It's more just like you're floating on air as you're going across the road. I don't know how they manage the suspension. Maybe it's the wider wheelbase. I hear it's only 1 inch off from the Escalade, which is supposed to be a very luxurious drive feel. So the Lyriq is just 1 inch off on wheelbase dimensions from the Escalade. Perhaps that's it, I'm not quite sure. Or maybe it's the 22-inch alloy wheels that we have on this, also able to absorb the bumps a little bit better than the 20-inch wheels. Regardless, it is much more of a luxury feel inside the Lyriq versus the Tesla Model 3 that we traded in. Secondly, the Tesla Model 3 had pretty thin glass windows, so road noise was definitely intruding into the cabin.
In half a mile, turn right onto Martin Street.
The Lyriq, though, not only does it have the quiet cabin that Cadillac is known for, it also has the lack of noise because there's no engine. doing internal combustion engine noises and
Take
vibrations.
the next right onto Martin Street.
Further, they went overboard by creating something called a active noise cancellation system in the headrest of the driver
In a
and
quarter
front
mile,
passenger.
turn right onto Moore Street.
Incredibly quiet inside the cabin. There is just about a deafening dead noise experience when you're inside the Cadillac Lyriq. Super luxury drive feel and super quiet interior cabin. So one thing I wanted to do is talk about the comparisons between the Cadillac Lyriq and the Tesla Model Y, which is really what it's directly competing against. Of course, the Tesla has all of the controls built into the center console. That is kind of iconic for Tesla. And GM has the more ubiquitous AC Delco types of buttons. However, the Lyriq does have I believe it's a 33-inch LCD screen that has multiple areas of information on it that are customizable, which is very nice. Tesla has that to some extent, but not quite to the level that what we have here. The navigation is Android Auto, which I consider to be best in class for not only navigation, but estimating the state of charge upon arrival. Does a very good job of that. I'll talk about some other comparisons with the actual size and dimensions of the car here in just a minute, but one of the biggest distinctions between going with a legacy brand versus going with a startup like Tesla is the dealership network, which is prolific throughout the United States. GM just has a astronomical number of dealerships in which you could bring your car to. Now, some people can say that it's a disadvantage because there's costs associated with that, but what you get for that cost is the convenience of being able to bring your car in should you need to. For instance, we had a 20,000 mile service check on our Volvo XC40 Recharge yesterday, and instead of having to schedule with a remote technician to come to the house in order to take care of that for us at some point that is convenient for them, we could actually go to a dealership and talk to people, and they could do recall parts. We actually had a hose that was a part of the moonroof system that needed to be retrofitted to take care of a gurgling issue that was a known issue in the Volvo. And being able to go to a dealer is definitely a benefit in my mind. Although, yes, it is raising the cost, the overall cost of the vehicle built into the purchase price. I don't know. Having actual human people and service bays with trained technicians able to work on a car that you can go to, in my mind, is a big benefit to the legacy brands. Cadillac being one of them. I was just there this morning because we have a few minor details to clean up with the purchase of the car, and went down into the service bays, and there's a trained technician there for electric vehicles on Ultium, and a trained salesperson, and a very nice dealership close to our house. So for me, that's a big benefit. The next thing is the interior cabin space. There's just a ridiculous amount of space. I'm going to go over in detail the dimensions, but we have the seats positioned so there's a good amount of leg room going into the footwells, and we also have this large compartment between where normally the transmission drivetrain hump is. So just a ton of interior cabin space. It's hard to describe without actually experiencing it, just how much legroom and passenger space there is in this car. Cadillac Lyriq has 4 different views for the display in front of the driver: Gauge, Energy, Map, and Clean. The one that is currently on now is called Gauge, and these are customizable to some extent, but they come with some predefined options. If you click on Energy, you get more of a EV style of view, which is pretty cool. Map will give you a kind of like a turn-by-turn, and then obviously there's the clean option also, because when you have glass you need to clean it. And we did get a super mitt cleaner, which makes cleaning it fun and easy. We're super conscious about fingerprints, and also got a screen protector for it, which they make. The next thing I want to talk about is the primary reason we purchased the Cadillac Lyriq and traded in our Tesla Model 3, which is the seat height. Tesla has something called easy entry, which basically is them conceding that they recognize there's a problem with getting in and out of their cars. They're too low, they're designed for aerodynamics, not really designed for human comfort. One of the main differences between them and other brands is that other brands try to design around driver and passenger comfort more, which is where crossovers and SUVs come into play. So the distance from the ground up to the chair is much higher than what you would see in a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, which is super comfortable. Let's take a look at the back seat also. Now, because the dimensions of this car are bigger, the back seat is very roomy. I've heard 6'3" tall people get in here and they have a ton of space. I am not, but you can see the space between my knees and the front seat, which is pushed good ways back, is ample. So definitely a large luxury crossover SUV feel. Excuse the dirt, we had a rainy week and I haven't put the car onto the car wash system yet, but in the back, multiple cameras, and to open it up you press the Cadillac symbol, automatic liftgate. Our version, which was the luxury trim, came with this cargo cover and a ton of space. I have measured it. It's bigger than the Tesla Model 3 by a long shot. It's also bigger than the Tesla Model Y. We got a grocery pack in order to save it from any spilling from things in the groceries, like milk that might be open or something. But just a ton of space. You lay those two seats in the front down, you could easily get an air mattress in there if you were going to be doing some glamping. And automatic liftgate, of course. There you have it. Another cool feature is this button right here on the door panel, both for the front passenger and the driver. When you press it, the infotainment screen changes. What you get is a picture of the chair where you can adjust the massage settings. And right now I have it on. Let me turn it like that. You can see we can adjust lumbar, we can adjust massage, and the intensity of the massage. Pretty nifty. Charger's located at a really nice microbrewery called Dirtbag Ales, where there's a attached restaurant with an outdoor seating area and inside tap room and an adjoining restaurant. So while the car charges, we're going to get some grub. The last thing I want to talk about is the 19 speaker sound system by AKG. And you might ask, how do you get 19 speakers into a car? Well, there's 2 on the door panels right here. There's 3 up on the dashboard. The headrests themselves have speakers embedded in them that also provide the noise cancellation effect to make the interior cabin that much more quiet. And then of course there's other speakers spread around the cabin. So very luxurious feel, and you could also create surround sound in 2 different center points, one in the back seat, one in the front seat, which is pretty cool.